Say something, Jim. Something. Can you say something sensible?
Take really close up and Jim. No, not Jim. Jim eating.
Jim eating. I was just saying.
Movie camera.
Well, it's a movie and a still.
Yeah.
I can hear you talking there. Come on, the camera's rolling here. And action.
And action. Action stations.
Go.
What? Hello.
Hello.
To the railway. You take off.
Jeez.
I have to practice that. Practice.
Toot toot.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because we are actually previously.
Computer club, because they didn't have members, so we put them under. Yeah. I said, right, join up. I said, everything you do, I said, you had $1 on the coast of the club. And they come in every month with $20 or more. I know it's not a great deal, but you know,
That's
10 months,
yeah,
10 months
right.
is $200
Yeah,
quite extra.
yeah,
So,
why not?
so
We're the same.
that's
Yeah.
really good.
That's the way to do it. Slimmings are members and the camera club are members. And,
Yeah,
that's the way
yeah.
to do it.
We'd like to get into cameras. We've got a few now with cameras and doing stuff.
Get a
So
camera club.
with Dave like this, we might get Dave
Yeah.
to take over the camera
Yeah,
club and
they-
get some in. And
they
do
go
the
into the
cameras.
camera. Now, I'm talking now to the president of the Wagga Wagga Seniors Club, whatever it's called.
Wagga Wagga
And have you got
Club.
anything to say to the poor people that didn't come today?
Yes, they were introduced to Edie Naismith, president of the Narrandera Senior Citizens Club, president of the Lions, everything.
She's president of Narrandera by the sound of it.
Yeah, president, yeah.
Oh,
She's not
right.
quite the mayor yet, but
Now, did you do much preparation for us silly old buggers that come from Wagga?
No, I just love to have them here. That's all.
Oh, that's
The
good.
more the merrier.
We're spending all our money on your
Oh,
raffle
are you?
tickets.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
that's what we've got to do.
Some nice things.
Someone
over
have actually slapped down $100, but
Oh,
quickly took it back again.
Oh, right, they got the right one. I thought it was $10.
I don't think they're gold plated.
That wasn't President Jim, was it?
No, it wasn't him.
I got me $2 and I already bought $10 worth of tickets, so I still got me $2. So I'm right. Don't show that because I'm usually only allowed to have $1, Dave. I've got $2.
Oh,
They'll
okay.
start talking about me.
Yeah.
I come one
Okay.
day and I think I had a $5 note in my pants, and one of them come up and said, "Oh, that was Joyce Redmond." Our president came up and said, "Okay, whose pants are you put on today?"
Now, I'm the Cecil B. DeMille of the Wagga Seniors Club, so I'd just like to speak to all the lady. You people are from Narrandera? No? Narrandera, no. Ruth? Oh, you're the bus lady, that's right. And you're the bus man. Is this called a busman's holiday? This is a busman's holiday, is it?
Every day's a
You're
busman's
working.
holiday. Men's shed.
Okay. Oh, you're in the men's shed. Okay, and this gentleman is from the Narrandera Club. Now, what do you think of the Wagga people coming here and spending all their money on all those raffle tickets?
It's great to know that the flood washed some of the money out of Wagga down to Narrandera.
Yeah.
Now, how about that?
Well, all the gold coins sunk to the bottom and all the notes floated over here, did they?
We all go swimming in the river here next summer.
All right.
We'll get all those gold coins.
Very good. Okay. Now, what do you think, Lil? It's Lil from Wagga Wagga. What do you think of this lovely setting? They invited us here. Fantastic.
Really like it.
Absolutely.
Now, go and speak to these people. Hello, people. I'm Cecil B. DeMille from the Wagga Club. And I'm Cecil. No, it's actually Dave. But you people are from Narrandera, I guess?
Yes.
Now, why are you sitting all over here by yourself? You should be over with us Wagga people. Here we are, we're spending all our money here on all your raffle tickets.
didn't want to use the flag.
Oh, okay.
We've got 2 handicaps.
Well, you put on a nice day for us anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Right. We'll see you later.
Secretary Treasurer, I think.
Now, here's some more Wagga people. Hello, Wagga people. What do you think of this lovely day they've put on for us? I'm Cecil B. DeMille of the Wagga Club, by the way. Taking the films. It's a beautiful day. Okay.
And she said, well, that's Graceland's down
I'll have to get a century after to check my numbers out. What about $3 worth? How's that go?
That's all right.
We can't see your
Smile.
beautiful face. There we go. That's hello, Robin. What do you think of the lovely day they've put on for us?
Oh, beautiful.
And here's Jan. Is it Jan?
Jan, it is Jan.
I remembered that. Isn't that wonderful for me?
Well.
It's a big deal for me.
Good.
This is a lady taking all our money,
Yes.
and she's going to give them all the prizes back.
And I'm
I
very
just hope.
glad that.
Yeah.
Taking
Well,
it.
I'm taking a movie of you, Jan. So
Are you?
yes,
Oh,
that's
heavens
why
above.
I'm rattling on
On
here.
the face.
I'm rattling on here. Okay, so be on your best behaviour.
I'm always best behaviour.
Oh, okay.
that's-
Damn.
I'm always best behaviour.
Oh, shit, you're boring.
You know, I...
Are you ladies on your best behaviour?
Never.
Oh, okay. Well, I might sit here. No, it's all movies. So you tell it. I'm Cecil B. DeMille, by the way.
Oh, that's who you are now.
Yeah.
Who is he now?
Cecil B. DeMille.
Oh, he was Brad Pitt before.
10 Commandments. Remember that movie?
And then he was going to be George Clooney
And Brad Pitt.
and Brad Pitt.
And you're from Narrandera?
I don't like Brad Pitt, so you can be George Clooney.
You're from Narrandera?
No, I'm on the bus.
Oh, are you?
I'm from Wagga.
Oh, I didn't recognise you.
big.
And you're you're on the bus. I remember you at wherever we had the cup of tea. Isn't it a beautiful day?
Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, I've said that about 10 times
We don't
now.
like that. When that's working, we don't like that.
And Bed's
Well,
on our bus.
yes, I know. Yeah.
Oh, there's the chef. He's the one I want. Oh, it smells good.
Oh, yeah. Onions.
29 of those are broodstock holding ponds, similar to these out here. So these are our broodstock holding ponds, where the actual breeders are held for the breeding season. So we produce around about 1 million to 1.5 million fish every year for public stocking in New South Wales. And you know, it's these fish here that we use to do that job. The main hatchery's back here behind us, and that's where we do all the injecting and follow through from there. The fish then go out into the ponds, into the fry ponds, and then once we get them from the fry ponds, we then back to the hatchery again, where they're salted and checked, make sure they're fully scaled and no disease, and then we'll take them out the next day. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get the fish out after we've actually got them from eggs to larvae to fry to fingerlings. So they go through those 3 stages before we actually move the fish out. The centre itself's on around about 60 acres, so it's a fairly huge site for a fish farm. We've got around about 33 staff on site at the moment, so it's and a lot of those are on research programs, so they're not actually all on site working on hatchery work. It's different research programs that are all around the state. We're actually working with Victoria, we're working with Queensland at times, and we're working with South Australia quite a bit on a lot of our programs. So there's a lot of money that's sort of integrated through different states. The site itself brings in around about 1.8 million a year from other external clients now, so other agencies that give us money to go and do work for them. So that's been a big buffer for us and helped us increase our staff numbers, that sort of thing. We built this shed here just in the last 3 to 4 years, and it was built as a research shed to house 22,500 litre tanks. And in there we did a lot of tag retention trials. You see a lot of things on the TV sometimes where, you know, they're sticking tags in the fish and letting the fish go. But what we found is there's a lot of those tags that actually don't stay in the fish. The fish's body actually, it refuses it, and it pushes the tags out and all this sort of thing. So that's some of the work we were doing there. We've actually got a large flume that's coming down from Port Stephens that's being built up there now. That's another major project that we've just won. And it's actually half the tanks in the shed have been taken out, and that flume will be set up in the shed. And the flume is to give us an idea of volume of water that fish can withstand.
What's a flume?
Well, it's a large tank that's going to be set up with flows that's going to give you an idea whether the fish can withstand that volume of water. And it's like weirs and that, where we have weirs and dams where we've got a lot of water coming out the bottom of the weirs. We've found that that's really detrimental to our fish. Water going over the top of the weirs is fine, but water coming out under the bottom of the weirs, it's really dangerous in that it really affects a lot of our smaller fish, our fingerlings and fry and other fish that go in underneath. Big percentage of them die, so that's, you know, there's a big impact on that sort of thing. So what we want to find out is what they'll actually really withstand as far as flows and that sort of thing. So that's why we're getting this set up here now in the next probably 6 to 8 months.
What breed of fish are they? All different kinds?
Oh, all different species. We breed, on site here we breed Murray cod, trout cod, golden perch and silver perch. So they're the 4 main species for stocking.
What about barramundi?
No, we're not in saltwater water.
Damn.
We're in fresh water. So it's mainly those species.
Yep.
Then we look at pygmy perch and purple spotted gudgeons. They're on the threatened species list. So they're a small fish. They're not a real big fish, but they're fish that we're looking at. And we've been breeding those on the site now for about the last 3 years. And we've got a number of those we've put those back in population since the drought. The drought had a big impact on a lot of these smaller fish, right around the state. So it was important that we went out and got fish, we held them here in earthen ponds, and then when the drought broke we were able to get back in and start breeding those little fish and then restock them back out into the system where they were once abundant.
So they're basically natives, are they?
Yes, they're all natives. Yes. Yeah, other than the 2 fish that were introduced, which are European carp and English perch, which are redfin. So 2 fish that we really didn't want to introduce.
Isn't that carp a terrible fish?
Yeah, they are, but we think redfin are probably a little bit terrible, actually. Really? We've actually been working with Sydney University, and there's a virus that redfin hold within their own species called EHNV. And when you actually have the fish, an abundance of fish, redfin in an area, they release the virus to knock their own species out. Really? That virus is actually prone to a number of our native fish. And we've only found this out the last 2 to 3 years. We've actually been working with Richard Whittington at Sydney University, and we've found that the blood that we've been taken from some of the redfin, not all the redfin, but there's a number of the redfin, and then that toxin has actually been going into our Macquarie perch, silver perch, and some of the Murray cod. So it's, redfin have a bigger impact than what we think. So they're not really a good fish for our system at all. As I said, we're about 1.3 k's from the river. The water goes up here to the hill, into the main reservoir, and then it's gravity fed all over the site. We're also down near the river. We've got our own bore where we can actually pump water up to the two bore tanks, which you'll see over the back here when we go around. And the water there, then it's just gravity fed from the bore tanks around the site wherever we need it. We use the bore water in the manatees. We used it in the tag retention trials. We use it in that shed over there where we've actually got broodstock again in big tanks that we hold. Just some yellow belly that we can go in and get out quickly, take them down and inject them. It's better than having them in an earthen pond. It's much quicker for us. We can actually heat the tanks up to bring the fish up to ovulation. Most of our fish need around about 18 to 20 degrees to breed naturally in the river systems. So that's what we've got to do. We've actually got to heat tanks up sometimes to get the fish up to come up to ovulation to brood. So 18 to 20 degrees, and they also, most of them need a rise in water level. So it's very important that we get all that for our native fish to breed naturally within the system. All right, Bill. Thank you. So there are fish that was sort of once abundant, a big part of the Murray-Darling Basin, but they're now fairly vulnerable in that there's not many areas where they're left in any numbers. So what we've done, we've gone out and we've brought back a number of these fish, put them into this pond, and we've covered the pond to stop predation from birds and that from getting in there and getting into the fish. There's around about, I think there's probably around about 80 to 90 fish in this pond still. And what we had to do, what we wanted to do was get these fish to breed. So we'd actually tried breeding them here in 1984-85 with no success. And we didn't know a lot about the fish and what they really needed, but what we do know now is that they need a rise in water level, a rise in water temperature, and a good flow in an area where they can actually come up to ovulation. So they needed a natural environment to do that in a captive area. So it's not like them breeding naturally out in the wild where we've got them here. But what we did, you can see this area here that's got the shade cloth around. When Bill drives around past here, you'll see we've built a creek. So the creek runs from in the end of the pond there where the blue paddle wheel is. You can just see the top of the paddle wheel. Runs right around here, goes right out around there, back in and back into the pond over the other side. So what we did, we created a natural flow and a natural environment for them, that we put in a lot of rock and ripple in the bottom of the pond, in the bottom of the creek, sorry, not the pond, but in the bottom of the creek. We've set up 4 paddle wheels in that area, and as well we've got that big 6-inch pump there back there that's behind us. We can actually throw that into gear, and that gives us a really good flow. So we get high flow from the pump. We've got 4 paddle wheels in the area where the creek is. So for the fish, it's just like a natural environment. If they're in the river, all of a sudden you've got a river coming down. You've got a rise in water level, and that's what those fish need to trigger them to bring them up to ovulation. So in doing this, the fish were able to come up. They moved into the creek area really quickly, and we couldn't help but notice when we first filled it, they just went straight up in there. And that was before we had any paddle wheels really or any pump going. So that was just with the natural rise of the water in the pond. We're actually able to lift and lower the water to wherever we want it, just by turning a valve on and off. So that's really enabled us to trigger these fish to ovulation. Now they've come up in here and last year, and we took some out. We tried different hormones and different. Once we got them back to the hatchery, we tried an early hormone. So we took some fish out. We put an early hormone in them, which it just releases slowly within the fish to bring them up to ovulation. And we kept those in tanks. Now none of those fish were any good. The ones we didn't touch and left in the pond, they came up to ovulation. We got them out, injected them once, and we got eggs straight away. So it was really good. We ended up with about 550 larvae last year, and this year just gone, I think we had about 5,700 or something like that. So it was really good. We're there. We think we're gonna, next year it should be good. We should be able to really knock some of these species out. So yeah, just in doing that, it was the first time these fish had been bred in captivity anywhere in Australia last year. So other than where they'd been out and got fish that were actually running ripe in the wild and brought them back and injected those, they were able to get eggs out of it. Quite often when you do that, after you've done that, the fish die. So the adult fish die. That's no good to them. It's not something we want to be doing. We really want the fish to be able to move through here, come up to ovulation, take the fish out of the pond, take them down, inject them, and then like we did this year and last year, bring the adults back, put them back in here for next year, and then redo it again, go through the cycle again. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for us. There's a lot of different hormones that you can use. and we seem to have. We know what we need to do now, so we're pretty confident in next year we should have a pretty good year with these Macquarie perch. So what had happened to these species, you know, we have a lot of introduced species, and I spoke about the redfin earlier, and they've had a big impact on Macquarie perch. So in that toxin that they release is vital to these fish. It's you know, they do cause, it does cause infection or death within other species. And it's sort of vital that we ensure that you know, we can get these fish back into the system. Up until 99, 2000, we had professional fishermen all around New South Wales, used to go out fishing, and when they come back, you know, they used to have big boxes of fish, and they think they were all yellow belly. But when you go back through and see some of the photos and that now, we can actually identify those fish as Macquarie perch. So they were being sold as another species in the system. But so that's all stopped. Hopefully we can get those back into the system, and hopefully they'll be abundant again like they were. Right, Bill, thank you. Oh, indeed. So over here we've got one of the electro-fishing vessels. These vessels are used for most of our research projects now. In that what happens, we've got a DC generator in the boat to 1000 volts. The two large anodes that spring out to the front of the boats, and they're actually used to stun the fish. You might have seen them over at Wulundri Lagoon this week in Wagga. Yeah, they weren't actually our boats, but there was a man over there from Deniliquin, I think, and or Condobolin, and he was actually getting fish out. So it's a great way to well, I guess it's like anaesthetise them. It's not like using the drug that we used to anaesthetise fish, but it is similar in that most of the fish are attracted to the current. In particular, European carp move very quickly to the current. They love the pulse of that current. When they get closer they get, the more it hits them, and then they just roll over. So then we're just able to net the fish up, put them into the live well. You can keep them alive, you can kill them, you can do whatever you want to do, whatever's going on at that time. So it's yeah.
Very
We
good.
better go, Bill. Des will be for these ponds. Murray Cod are very territorial, so we can't overstock them. And they like their area. Oh, they average from around about 15 to probably 20 odd kilos. Yep. Pretty good eating. See that big illegal drum net there on the fence?
Yeah.
That's the sort of drum net that some people use.
Do you get sick of eating fish?
No, never bloody heard of me anyway. Going to the fish and chip shop all night. Alright, so this is one of our fry ponds. So what happens here, this time of the year, it's the end of the year for this pond, so it's just going to be left. So excuse me. By the time, the time we want to use it again will be about August or September, September. So we'd come up in about August, and we'd come up and rotary hoe the bottom of it. We whip around and spray the edges with Roundup, and then we mow that right down really low. We rotary hoe the bottom of the pond, and then we harrow it down with a set of harrows, and then we leave it. We hope to get the pond generally nice and level, so the water, once it is full, the water will actually just come back down into the raceway then and go out. So the raceway is the piece that's in the ground, the trough, and then the upright is what we call the penstock. So if we're going to bring fish out into this pond in the next few weeks, we would come up, we'd do all that. We'd then put our boards in the upright over the other side. There's 4 boards, so they're about 500 high each. So they go in, and then the screens go in front of the boards. Then the pond's filled. Then we fertilise the ponds with sulphate of ammonia, potash, and lucerne straw, or lucerne chaff. And then that creates the plankton. That's what the small fish need to eat. So it produces plankton, insect life, and insect matter. And then that all takes off. You need hot weather for that, so we're looking for warm weather. The plankton gets going. We'll come up and check it about a week or so before the fish go out. Plenty of food in the pond, right, that's good. We'll bring the fish up, put the fish into there. They're there then for about 6 to 8 weeks. Just depends on how the weather's been and how the food chain's been in the pond. After the 6 to 8 weeks, the ponds are drained. So they're drained by inner penstock. As I said, there's 4 boards. So we'd come up and pull a board this morning. We'd pull another one about lunchtime. Then late this evening, we'd come up and pull another one, which would leave 1 board in the pond, which would leave 500 deep overnight. We'll crack a small flow into the pond, which leaves fresh water coming through and going out. Fish are all down in this area, in the deep section. And then in the morning you come up, pull the last board, fish are all congregate down into the raceway, We put a trap in the raceway, open up the valve, put a flow through, fish move up into the flow, we catch them in the trap, into the bins, up onto the back of the ute, and then back down to the hatchery into the tanks. So a pond like this, you should average around about 120,000 fish out of a pond at any one time, but we have had up to 300,000. But 100,000 is pretty common. 100 to 120,000 is a pretty good number. Sometimes you get less, of course, if it's things have gone wrong. If you've run out of food, or there's a number of diseases that can hit the fish as well. And if that happens to happen, well, then you could be in trouble. You mightn't get near as many as you hoped. But that's just the average run. That's what you'd hope.
This isn't a fish story, is it? Real big
No.
That's
how it is.
Let them know how you count.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, come on.
Quickly.
No, the scoops, when we get them back down into the hatchery, they're all done with Mum's old potato scoop. So we take a scoop and might count out 5 scoops out of each tank, take that and count it, and then get an overall
an estimate
on that, and then that's how we did it. That's how we did it up until 3 weeks ago. We bought a Vaki from Iceland. We've bought a Vaki fish counter. And now you set the fish up, and it's all done electronically. They go through this bloody filter thing, run through this filter thing, and it counts them for you. So you don't have to
job.
and you just tip them in by the bucket.
Wow.
And it's done. So we've only used it probably twice. I think they've used it. I haven't actually seen it in operation yet, but I'm interested to see what happens next year. All right, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
B36, Red Jeep McDonald. Well done, Bill. You won your one time there, Stuart.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to P. Got it. Let's go now. P for orange.
V for orange.
It's orange. B25.
25 orange.
Good on.
Yay! Hey.
Well, that's nearly as good as winning the 70 million, isn't it? Not quite. Something. Yes, 70 million dollars.
No, yum, jams.
You want another one? No, you want 2? My bag. I've got one underneath.
Orange A68. Well, don't you start to me.
How are you, Lil? Good. Did you have a win too? Oh, lovely. You come and chair, Lil. Lil? Lil? Do you like the chair? Yeah.
Very nice spot.
Yes, I know, and my things are there
Somewhere he said there's a nice car show on it, so might lose half the ladies here, but
Oh, how could you say that?